All right. Good morning, y'all. It is Friday, the 21st. I said the 21st yesterday. I apologize. Today is the 21st of April, 2023. It's Friday. Tomorrow is Saturday. I'm working, so I don't really get the weekend off, but that's okay. I had Wednesday off. Was able to have some fun. But, so Friday working. Sunday, I'll be at the truck stop. So please be in prayer for that. And see what the Lord has for me Sunday. Pray some drivers come in. It's a lot different than it was, years ago when it comes to truck stop ministry. They just don't come in to the chapel. And in fact, since COVID, they don't hang around inside the truck stop very much. Maybe it's the spirit of fear. Spirit are going to get sick. I don't know. Upon them. I don't know what's going on. Or just the sign of the times. Hearts are waxing cold to hearing the gospel. Anyway. So yeah, it is Friday. And I really do hope you have a good weekend. So today we're going to pick up and we're going to try to just go through we're going to pick up back in verse 20 of Philippians 1 and go to, let's see where the Lord takes it. We'll just give this in the Lord's hand and see where he takes it. Yesterday we talked about being bold and being not ashamed of being a Christian, because this world wants to make you ashamed of being a Christian. And we got to be bold. We got to stand. We got to take a stand. We got to be firm. And we can't falter. Although there are going to be many that start faltering. The closer we get to the Lord's return, the more persecution ramps up. Here in America even, there are going to be more that falter. Because when the fire's turned on and it gets really hot, that's when you really see who is who. And I'm not saying people that falter are not Christian. It's just they get caught up in the cares of this world and they get afraid. And God doesn't want us to be afraid. He wants us to be bold. He wants us to be strong. He wants us to be courageous. He does not want us to be fearful. We should not fear anything that man can do to us here. Even when it comes to, we should not fear if somebody wants to kill us because of our belief. And that may happen here in America before the rapture. We know that after the rapture, during the tribulation, if you refuse to take the mark of the beast, that's it for you. And there's going to be people that decide after the rapture that they're going to follow God. And it's going to be a lot harder to follow God after the rapture than it is going to be to follow God now, to become a born-again believer. Because you talk about a fire being underneath you. There's going to be a fire underneath you. If you hold out, if you decide that, I still don't want to get saved, I'm just going to take my chance. Well, the moment the rapture happens and Christians are out of here, it's a completely different way of salvation. And it's work and faith. Just like it was in the Old Testament, faith and works. Now it's all faith. Faith in what Christ did. That's what you get, what you do to get to heaven. And if you hold out, you're not born again, and you're holding out, that rapture happens. The moment the rapture happens, things change here, folks. So if you've never been born again, now is the time. Now is the accepted time of salvation. This isn't to scare you. Although the Bible says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And that fear is not some kind of reverential trust that's preached among fundamentalists. It is fear of the Lord. Fearing what he can do to you. He said, fear not those that are able to just kill the body. But he said, fear those that are able to both destroy the body and soul in hell. That's God. He is able to destroy both body and soul in hell. See, this world can only kill the body. That's all they can kill. They can kill this mortal flesh. If they decide to kill my mortal flesh, amen, I'm ready to go home. Because they can't touch my soul. My soul's been redeemed by God. I've been born again, blood washed. My soul is redeemed by God. So when I die here, I'm going to be absent from this body and be present with the Lord immediately. Like, boom. Just like Paul, when he was caught up to the third heaven, he went immediately before the throne. God's in heaven. And that goes back into, I had that person comment on a video last week about the rapture. When it talks about in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 about the rapture, it's not talking about going to heaven. Well, where's it talking about going? We're going to meet in the clouds. We're not just going to stick upside in the clouds up there. We're going somewhere. A picture where we're going is found in Revelation 4. So you got to piece that Bible together, folks. You just can't take one little passage and twist it out and say, that doesn't mean that. When it comes to the rapture, you got to put 1 Corinthians 15 in with 1 Thessalonians 4 to understand completely. Then you got to go back and look at Matthew 27 at the resurrection of Christ, what happened in that little event. All right? So there's things you got to put together, piece together. When Elijah got raptured up, he went up to heaven. When Enoch got raptured up, he went up to heaven. But if you die before the rapture, your soul goes to heaven. At the rapture, your soul gets reunited with your body. And then we go back up, apparently, and then we come back down. I don't know how it all works out, but that's what happens. And according to what we do here in the body as a Christian is going to determine what we do after the rapture and the millennial reign. If you suffer for Christ now, you're going to get millennial rewards, as in reigning with Christ. So, anyway, off that little soapbox. Back to what I was saying here about Paul, though. Let's get back to this. Verse 19, for I know that this shall turn to my salvation through your prayer and the supply of the Spirit of Jesus Christ. When we talk about turn to my salvation, Paul was talking about his deliverance to heaven. Deliverance to heaven or from prison, either one, whichever was going to happen. At this point, he wasn't sure, but it sure was looking like it was near the end at that point. It's AD 62 when he wrote Philippians. He was martyred in AD 66, 67 time frame. So Paul's wrapping up his ministry at this point. He's in the sunset of his ministry. Okay. But what he says here, for I know that this shall turn to my salvation through your prayer, that their prayer was going to deliver him. Whether physically or spiritually, he'll go to heaven. His soul go to heaven. And he physically dies and goes to heaven. According to my earnest expectation of my hope, that in nothing I shall be ashamed, but that with all boldness. He's saying, on nothing I shall be ashamed, but that with all boldness, as always. So now also shall Christ be magnified in my body. Now listen to here. Whether it be by life, whether he lives through this, or by death, whether he dies. And we all know that he died for Christ. Now listen to this next verse. For to me to live is Christ, and to die is gain. What is he saying? For him to live is Christ, working here, but to die is gain, which means he's going to go to heaven. He knows that. But if I live, verse 22, in the flesh, this is the fruit of my labor, yet what I shall choose, I what not. He says, do I want to stay or do I want to go? Do I want to go? Do I want to stay here or do I really want to go? I'll tell you, folks, I've told you this before. I want to go. I'm ready to fly. I'm ready to depart this earth and go to heaven. Really am. Been that way for a while. But it's also in God's timing. When God sees fit for me to go, I'm going to go. And right now, in verse 21 or 22, he's having a hard time here. He knows his time's coming to an end. He doesn't know when it's going to be. He knows it's going to end. Christ told him he's going to be killed for the gospel. Look at verse 23. For I am in a strait betwixt two, having a desire to depart and to be with Christ. His earnest desire was to go home and be with the Lord. That was his real earnest desire. That's my desire, should be your desire, to get out of this stupid earth and be loosed from this prison that we're in right now. That should be our desire. That should be our want, is to get out of here. And he says, I'm in a strait betwixt two, having a desire to depart and to be with Christ. What does he say here? Which is far better. It's better in heaven, folks. My father-in-law had a glimpse of heaven before he went home to be with the Lord. Didn't even know he was going to die. But my father-in-law had a dream about heaven, and he couldn't describe what it looked like. The beauty, the grandeur, all this just amazing sounds, just amazing things. He told my brother-in-law about this. And he told my brother-in-law, he said, I didn't want to wake up from that dream. I wanted to stay. But in reality, I think God was giving him a glimpse. He didn't know what was about to happen. So a few short weeks later, he departed. See, if we really got a mind of what heaven's like, we really would want to get out of here. It's that beautiful. I've never seen it. I believe my grandma saw little bits of it before she went home to be with the Lord. Again, he said, for I am in a strait betwixt the two, having a desire to depart and to be with Christ, which is far better. But look at verse 24. Nevertheless, to abide in the flesh is more needful for you. To abide here on earth was more needful for the converts and the local churches there. And Paul knew it. He was ready to go. He just spent the last close to 30 years preaching the gospel, giving everything he had, verbally being persecuted, physically being persecuted. And he was ready to go, but he knew there was more work to be done. Same thing. Even though I am ready to go, and I could go today, I could go tomorrow, we could all go the next couple of days. We don't know when the rapture is going to be. Also, we know it's going to be sometime. It's going to be sometime. Looking like it ain't going to be this year. But it is going to be soon, folks. But in the meantime, our abiding is needful to serve the Lord here, to further the gospel, to keep on keeping on, keep on preaching the Bible, keep on leading people to Christ, keep on discipling people, keep on edifying and encouraging the saints, lifting up your pastor, keep on helping one another is more needful right now. As much as I would love to go to heaven, and I would, I know that it's more needful for me to be here. That's all I got. I'm in a strait betwixt, just like Paul was. I would rather be there. And I know that 3 years ago, I was close to going there of my own doing. And God says, not today, boy. It ain't your time yet. It's Friday the 21st. We're going into the weekend. Hope you go to church Sunday. Find you a good Bible-believing, preaching, teaching church. But between now and then, serve the Lord. And keep on plugging on until the day God decides to take us home. God bless y'all.